Hello everyone, ShadowRock here, finally, with your week's Mega News Roundup. Today's episode is being recorded on August 15th, which I understand is a couple days later than we usually record episodes. So before we get into the news, I have some explaining to do, don't I? Well, first of all, you may have noticed that I sound much different than I usually do. That's because I'm using a different mic and I'm not even at my usual recording place. I am at my parents' place at the moment. And why is that? Well, on Friday, in case you missed the news, the air conditioner broke at my grandma's house, which is where I've been living since the end of 2017, ever since she came down with a stroke and hasn't been able to move her left arm or left leg ever since. So I was brought over to help take care of her, right? But that's besides the point. I'm at my original room where I was recording in 2017 way back and years prior, because the AC broke over there and it's like literally 90 degrees Fahrenheit in there, which, that's not fun, especially indoors. You can run all the fans you want, but it's still gonna be really miserable. The last time I was there was on Sunday, and I just remember the night prior, I almost got sick just from the heat alone. It was awful, okay? Anyone who knows what the Texas heat is like knows what I'm talking about. So to make the rest of this short, I decided to put my own health before videos and decided to stay with my parents for a little while until the AC issue is fixed. I just don't know when that's actually going to happen, because at this point it's looking like the AC is going to have to be entirely replaced, not just a repair. And again, I just don't know when that's actually going to get rolling. So in the meantime, I'm going to be here. I'll try to record audio as best as I can. Thankfully, we have Mega Quint to edit the video still, so there should still be videos. It's just going to be a really messy situation actually getting them to be put together. But thankfully, I did get a chance to record today's episode, so now we can finally get to the news. Thank you very much in advance for your understanding. Oh, and I sound like this today because I'm rocking the good old Blue Yeti mic. So just pretend like it's 2017 and I'm recording my old videos from way back then. I mean, it's only been a year or two since I retired the Blue Yeti originally, but you get the point. You may hear some background noise here and there, but hopefully we'll get rid of that in editing. Otherwise, it's back to business as usual. In today's news roundup, we have a variety of really interesting topics, from the usual Mega Man X DiVE, and some other things like MM11 entering the world of cloud gaming. So without further wasting your time then, let's see what we got today. We'll charge kick things off where we usually do in the deep log. We're going to talk about today's update for Rockman X DiVE and Mega Man X DiVE, yes, both versions. Now, for Rockman X DiVE, the Asian and Japanese versions, the big thing you need to know is that Rogue has now joined the battle. Yes, it was pretty obvious from the event stage that released last week and they hinted at him and all that. There was, also the fact that he was a boss, so it was inevitable. But yeah, he's here already this week. And one of the advantages of being late is that I can actually take a look at all of his skills for you guys and give you my thoughts on his kit. But first we're going to start with his animation, where he just goes crazy. He does the rogue break with the nightmare sword, and then there's your obligatory official artwork pose, of course. Okay, so now here are his skills. Skill 1 is called Rogue Fist, but this skill sees Rogue punching and lunging forward, inflicting 133.33% attack damage, that's if you're at level 1, along a path. And kinda like with Ultimate Armor X's Nova Strike, you will not take any damage when the skill is active, and afterwards you can unleash a shockwave to deal damage and slow down targets. The chips that are available for this skill is Power Increase for a damage multiplier of lunge by 10%, Power Increase for the shockwave by 10%, and Dynamic Destruction, which enhances the slow effect of shockwave by 33% and its duration by 1 second. Now, Rogue's second skill is going to be the big damage one. It's called Rogue Break, as we know. He swings his sword down and creates a giant shockwave before him, It has big range, and kinda like a plasma shot, it deals continuous damage. 261.33% attack power at level 1, and yeah, it just does continuous damage to all targets within range. It looks crazy good. The chips for this skill are Speed Blast, damage register accelerated by 25%, Mobility for a reduction of preparation time by 20%, which is pretty cool, just so that you can get your attacks out faster. And the last one is Rogue Combo. After you use Rogue Break, you can use Rogue Fist again, so you can get some combo potential up in there. And then we have Rogue's passive skills. The first passive is Rogue Sword. When Rogue is below 35% HP, he'll get a 25% damage increase. Next is Lock-On Nullification. When using character skills to hit a player, there's a chance to cause confusion, which will disable auto-aim temporarily. So you can really screw with PvP opponents by turning off their lock-on. So instead of melee mastery, he gets melee proficiency. When equipping a melee weapon, he gets increased damage by 10%, but also reduces damage by 10%. Now here's his namesake, the EM barrier. Rogue will automatically obtain an invincible effect every 6 seconds, which prevents you from receiving any damage. When your HP is below 35%, you'll gain a shield every 10 seconds, which can withstand 75% attack damage. Yep, gotta love that move barrier. That sounds kinda insane. So really, what you can do is do the runaway game until that 6 seconds pass, you get another invincible effect, and then you close in on your opponent and attack them. At least that's one thing you can do. And the last passive for Rogue is Symbol of Pride. When HP is below 42%, you can cast Rogue Sword to increase the casting chance of Lock-On Nullification by 30%. So definitely Rogue is one of those characters that gets even more powerful when you get him into critical HP. Not only do you have a higher chance of causing confusion to PvP opponents, but your EM barrier gets a lot better too once your HP falls. Rogue definitely looks like he's going to be very powerful. Now, I don't actually own Rogue right now, I haven't even pulled for him yet, but just from early impressions, I don't know if he's going to be as good a Protoman EXE at the end of the day, but he may come close, at the very least. The good news is Rogue is a permanent character, so if you miss him this week, it's not a end of the world kind of situation. But if you want to get him now while his odds are increased, his banner will be available from today, September 15th, to September 22nd. 1 week. And you know, it's pretty cool that we got 3 playable Star Force characters to make up for the long wait for Star Force content, aside from weapons in this game. And along with the Rogue banner, you can also get Star Force Mega Man memories and the Super Mag Gun once again. Which is pretty funny that every time there was a Star Force weapon, it was accompanied by a Zero character, but now vice versa, whenever there's a Star Force character, there's a Mega Man Zero weapon along with it. I have no idea what Capcom is trying to tell us, but man, that's some funny coincidences. Alright, here's what else is going on in the Asian version of DiVE today. We have the X-DiVE Maximum Race event, which is yes, another race event, where you can get Magma Dragoon and Destroyer memories. The limited challenge dailies for the Mega Man Star Force Bond That Can't Be Severed event is now live as well, so you can get some additional elemental medals, boxes, points, and all that good stuff. Make sure you do every single difficulty on the event to get all of your goodies. In addition, Rush's chip recycling station is back. You can turn in boss chips in exchange for high level armor parts and weapon EXP programs. Lastly, today is the day for the very first guild boss battle. This is for people who either have a guild or are a part of a guild. Now, we covered guild boss a bit in the last couple of Mega News where we talked about that dive time with producer Yoda, but as a recap, today's boss is Wolf Sigma, and he's going to be available for 1 week until September 21st. As part of this guild boss, we can get base EXE and poop transplant, explosive blower memories. And as a quick recap of how this guild boss works, your guild will work together to take down either Wolf Sigma himself or the 2 bosses next to him, which in this case will be Goliath and Chill Penguin. Once you take down those 2 bosses, you get a power boost that will help you in the fight against Wolf Sigma, and it only works against Wolf Sigma. So definitely you're going to want to have some active players helping you out for this one. Up to this point, all you could really do in Guild is donate Zenny and then hope you get a prize that is actually good, like the Hunter Crew card, the X and Zero card, or Elemental Medals at least, or you can get some crap prizes because the thing is, everybody only gets one prize out of the pool each day, and it's randomized as far as I'm aware. So that's definitely one thing where you're gonna have to keep rolling the dice every single day if you want to get everything. But now we actually have Guild Boss mode to take a look at, something else you can actually do in Guild mode, which is nice. And as a reminder, because I know people want to join the ShadowRock Guild, I'll say this time and time again, if in a perfect world there was more slots than just 10 members, I would definitely invite everyone I could, because I want to have fun with all you guys, but unfortunately that's not how the real world works, and there's only 10 slots at this current moment. Rumor has it you might be able to increase it to up to 30 slots at some point, but I haven't seen that yet. So for now, just assume that my guild is going to be full, and I really can't swap anyone in unless they're like a ShadowRockZX crew member, and something along those lines, because I really do want to go ahead and reward the people who are supporting the channel the most. The other unfortunate thing is you have to be in the EXE server, because with guild mode, it's not cross-server compatible. If you have a guild in the VAO server, for example, I can't join that guild because I'm an EXE server, and vice versa. Which is really stupid, by the way. They should make it cross-server compatible. But for now, it is what it is. That is the restrictions we are working with right now. So basically, in other words, guilds are pretty much a crapshoot right now. Honestly, the best thing you can do is try to find a guild with active members in it so you can do guild boss mode and don't worry about the rest. Other than that, the only other things going on this week are the few events that are going on right now, like Guild Boss Crusade, which gives you elemental medals and weapon patches and character patches if you defeat a boss every day for 7 days. There is Guild Gathering, where you can get a few elemental medals if you have 8 or more members in your guild during the events time, which for the ShadowRockZX guild, which is currently full up, we're going to be good for that. And then there's Support Guild Frontline, where you donate at least once a day and then you can get weapon and character patches. They also fixed some bugs, like the capsule animations that we had issues with last week has been fixed, and an issue of the gallery not displaying properly after the achievement is unlocked has been fixed too. However, there is a new bug. They mentioned the English version notice will be updated in the near future. And then one more thing that is strictly for content reasons, we have some new cards in the shop. So in the Arena store, we have the Bit card, the Colonel card, and the Blinking Slash card. But more importantly, we got a Flax card, baby! Yes, Falcon Armor X card. He gets a movement speed boost when he uses his Giga attack, and at 5 stars, Flax will be able to increase his invulnerability frames when using the Giga attack. That is pretty neat. He's really going to be a pretty dang good speedrunning character now, between his flight ability and the fact that he can go fast now. Not as good as Super Bass, mind you, but pretty decent nonetheless. That's all for this week's update, but we got more dive topics to talk about, and we're going to do the very big one next. Yes, it's finally time, boys. The Steam version, the PC version of Rockman-X DiVE is now officially live today. You can play it right now. Well, if you live in Asia at least, because that is the bad news. It's region locked. So, you know, the Asian territories that is meant for the Taiwan version of Rockman-X DiVE, those are the only regions that you can actually play the game in right now. And you may say, oh, well, can't you just get a VPN and then do it that way, make an Asian account and all that? No, I would not recommend doing that because it is actually against Steam terms of service to use a VPN to do that kind of stuff. And you may actually receive penalties on your main account if you try to do that. And even if you get to the point that you use a VPN, you're still going to need a verified credit card and an address over in Asia in order to actually make an account to download the game. So in other words, it's a really big hassle and you may actually get in trouble for doing it, so I highly recommend just not even bothering at all. I know I'm not, I'm probably just going to stick with BlueStacks myself. Which is unfortunate because it sounds like the Steam version is running pretty well, although there is a couple of bugs here and there, but I'm sure that'll get ironed out. And of course you have that Steam controller support, so you can use all of your usual controllers you would usually use with Steam. You know, PlayStation 5, PlayStation 4, Xbox, Nintendo Switch, all that stuff. And over on the Taiwan version, they're actually running some events where you can get some extra elemental medals and stuff if you use the Steam version. Oh, and by the way, I forgot to mention, if you're already playing the Taiwan version and you're somehow able to acquire the Steam version, you can actually transfer your account to the Steam version so you can enjoy that PC goodness without losing your account progress. But unfortunately for many of us, especially those of us from the West that have been playing the Taiwan version for quite some time, unless you really want to risk it, most of us are probably not going to be able to play the Steam version, unfortunately. Capcom did announce that they will be rolling out the Steam version to other territories at a later date, but we don't exactly know which ones. They just mean Japan, but also US as well. It's honestly up in the air, as in prior news, Nebula Joy did say that there was currently no plans to do a Steam version on their side. And remember, Nebula Joy is in charge of the global version of DiVE. So if you're playing global version, currently there isn't a lot of hope right now for a Steam version unless Capcom does something about it. So it's one of those things where we're just gonna have to wait and see if those of us over in the West can actually play on Steam at some point, or if it's going to remain locked to Taiwan and potentially Japan forevermore. Which is a big shame, because I was really hoping myself to play on Steam. It would definitely make it a lot easier to do streams and stuff. In the meantime though, I just want to say, do not give out your personal information, your credit card, your address. Don't give any information to any other third party that wants to get into your account to get you the game. Don't even do that. Don't put up with that stuff. I know most of you guys out there are smart, or at least I hope, but seriously, it's not worth it. I had to get that out there for your safety alone. And speaking of the global version of Mega Man X DiVE, what's going on this week over there? Well, the game has been out for over a month now, and finally we have our first DiVE Fest in the game. And yep, it's the very first DiVE Fest banner with Ultimate Armor X. No other characters in there besides Ferrum, Second Armor X, and the 3 starters. I actually already did my polls on there, and at the end of the day, all I got was Black Zero. So at least I have all 3 starters on Global now, but no Ultimate Armor X. But for those of you guys playing Global, you may already know this, but there is a free 10 poll on the DiVE Fest banner. That was a nice little thing that the global devs decided to do for us. I didn't get anything from the free poll, but maybe you guys will. And I do have to give credit where it's due. The global team has been doing a little bit of a better job with marketing lately. When they announced new characters like Ultimate Armor X for example, they actually showed real gameplay of how he works and everything. It's more basic than the trailers you'll see on the Taiwan and Japanese side of things, but it still gets the point across, and it's definitely way better than those false advertisement videos that the marketing team were doing before. So it is getting a little bit better, and it definitely helps that they're actually announcing the banners and the events ahead of time. Of course, with all that said, that does bring me to one spot of controversy regarding the DiVE Festival banner. Because lately, the global team has been going to a YouTuber and other outlets for getting the information out ahead of time as kind of an exclusive deal as far as I'm aware. So for the DiVE Festival announcement, they actually went to our good friends at Rockman Corner to do the announcement. But, as they say in their own article, they were actually fed the wrong information at first. And the main part of the confusion comes in with the pity system. Well, I shouldn't call it pity, it's more like the spark system that we've known in Taiwan and Japan at this point. You guys know the drill. 25,000 elemental medals, and you get your character or weapon of your choice that you just choose from the list. However, at first, the DiVE Global team told Rockman Corner that the free 10 pull that you get with the DiVE Fest banner would count towards the spark, but that turned out to not be the case. The free pull does not count towards the spark at all, and they had to correct their information. So no, straight up, you gotta spend 25,000 of your own medals in order to do the spark. And I have to emphasize, that's not Rockman Corner's fault, they were just reporting the information they were given. No, I blame the DiVE Global team on this one, because once again, they're showing that the communication over there is not the greatest at all. You can definitely see some improvement, but they still got a ways to go. And yeah, in the grand scheme of things, 1,000 EMs more, whatever. But I still want to get that out there because it is a thing that did happen, and it does point at communication not being great at the global team right now, which has already been apparent from all the stuff we covered so far, but it's just another episode, and what'd they do this time? So moving forward then, something interesting DiVE Global is doing is an event called Race to Ultimate Armor X. They say to give you guys a little push for this DiVE Fest, we decided to give you some benefits for being the early bird. After the Ultimate Armor X DiVE Festival banner goes live, the first 100 players to unlock the featured character, Ultimate Armor X, will receive a bonus reward. If you are the first to unlock, you get 2,000 elemental medals and 10-second Armor X memories, and then from there it just goes down the list until you get to the 51st to 100th to unlock. And then the winners will be disclosed 24 hours after the banner's release. And on paper, it's not a bad thing to reward people who actually got them first and stuff. But on the other hand, when you're only rewarding the top 100, you're mainly going to reward the whales, the people who actually spent money or were just lucky enough to get them. But mostly the whales, right? It doesn't really do much to help the common free-to-play player, or more importantly, the dolphins. Which dolphins are the players that don't spend as much as whales, but they spend a little bit here and there. Basically what I'm trying to say is, yeah, this whole event just screams, hey, give me your money! Give me plus? Which, whatever, it's a gacha game, what do you expect? But I just wanted to put that out there because I thought it was interesting. Another thing worth pointing out is apparently there was a bug where some people were getting 10 B ranks in their free pulls. That's pretty wild. I didn't encounter it myself, but if you did encounter that for some reason, I'll leave a link to the tweet where they're saying to contact their email, let them know that you encountered the issue, and they'll help compensate you for that. With the negatives out of the way then, I'm gonna balance this with a positive because at least they have been giving us some free goodies like elemental medals leading up to DiVE Fest, just to help us push us along a little bit. So that was kind of them, and there has been complaints that DiVE Global hasn't been as generous as, say, the Taiwan or Japanese versions, but you can see they're kind of getting there, they're getting into the swing of things, so that's cool. Only other thing you need to know is that the Space-Time Jumper event is now live as the Boomerang Koanger event, so you can get his chips now. And that's pretty much it for our DiVE news for today. Rogue, Speedrun event, Guild Boss events for Taiwan and Japan, DiVE Festival and Space-Time Jumper for Global. And that's your recap. Alright, now let's see what other non-DiVE news we have for today. We're gonna start off with an old favorite. Man, it's kinda weird to call this game old because it's Mega Man 11. Yeah, it's been out for 3 years at this point, but it's still selling copies. In fact, it recently surpassed 1.4 million units sold. So Mega Man 11 is now officially the second most high-selling game in the franchise, right after Mega Man 2, which is still the highest. Will Mega Man 11 dethrone Mega Man 2? Well, that remains to be seen, but it beat out Battle Network 4. Suffice to say, Mega Man 11 is doing some pretty great things for the franchise at the moment. You might think 1.4 million is pretty low, but you gotta keep in mind, Mega Man is really a low budget franchise. They don't have to spend as much money producing these games compared to Resident Evil, Monster Hunter, and so on. So actually, 1.4 million? Dude, that is insane for a Mega Man game, as we've been saying. You bet your mega butts Capcom is making some money off of that. So anyway, 3 years later, now Mega Man 11 has a chance to reach a whole new audience because it is now available on the Amazon Luna cloud gaming service. Wow, Luna Platts can play 11 now? That's crazy. But no, seriously, if you have a Amazon Luna subscription, which starts at $5.99 US a month, you can just stream Mega Man 11 to your device of choice and just play the game that way. No console required. I've yet to try it myself yet, but early impressions seems to suggest that it plays fine. So that might be a viable option for some of you to actually try out Mega Man 11. Or, you know, just stick to consoles like the rest of us, or PC if you're playing on that platform. Because obviously the downside to cloud gaming is you're going to have a pretty good internet connection, and you're going to have to hope that internet connection doesn't poop out on you during the gameplay. But if you do have a decent internet connection, you can go ahead and try it out. Now unfortunately it's not free to play, you're going to need a subscription, which again is $5.99 US a month. I know that there are some games on there for free if you're an Amazon Prime member, but unfortunately Mega Man 11 is not on that list of Prime games. So no, you really do need a subscription. Otherwise, there's not much else to say about it. Hey, Mega Man 11 is on a new platform after 3 years. That's kind of amusing. What's also amusing is the logo that Amazon Luna is using for Mega Man 11, which is pretty much an outline version of it. You can just legit download that and then color in your own Mega Man 11 logo. Hey, why not? In the merchandising department then, Arcade1Up has put up pre-orders for a Marvel vs. Capcom head-to-head arcade table. This table, which allows you to bring a buddy over to go head-to-head in some good old fighting games, features 8 Capcom vs. titles: Marvel Superheroes, X-Men vs. Street Fighter, Marvel Superheroes vs. Street Fighter, Marvel vs. Capcom Clash of Superheroes, X-Men Children of the Atom, X-Men Mutant Apocalypse, Marvel Superheroes War of the Gems, and The Punisher. Still no MVC2 though. Ayo, Capcom, where's Marvel vs. Capcom 2? Free MVC2, free it. And while unfortunately there are no wild rides to be taken here, why are we mentioning this? Because Mega Man is in it, duh! This baby stands at 29 inches tall, and it does have a clear cover top for you there. It looks like a pretty nice machine. But, hold on to your buttocks, folks, because here comes the price. It's going to run you $699.99 US, 700 whopping bucks right there. Sizzling circuits! That's gonna make your wallet hurt. And you gotta keep in mind too, this is going to be emulation as Arcade1Up usually does. So it's not the 100% authentic arcade experience, but hey, it gets pretty dang close. And the reason why the emulation is important is that does mean it will introduce an inherent little bit of input latency. It shouldn't be unplayable, it's just something to keep in mind if you're a purist. Emulation aside, Arcade1Up does make some pretty cool looking stuff, I gotta say. Of course though, that comes at a big cost. And while it is pretty cool that Arcade1Up is bringing these old titles out and making them available to purchase for everybody, man, wouldn't it be cool to have Marvel vs. Capcom on consoles and PC? Yeah, I know you can emulate Marvel vs. Capcom on PC, but like a native port though, that's the good stuff. And you know, while we're at it, free MVC2, where's that Capcom? You know, hopefully they do it someday, that would be really awesome. We've definitely seen this weird trend lately of Capcom doing their own little mini arcades and mini consoles with all these games on there that you usually can't get anywhere else because they're out of print, but they won't go ahead and port those to consoles, you know? The big example is Rockman and Forte, Mega Man Soccer and all that. They won't port those to console, but they don't mind putting them on their mini consoles. And then there's Mega Man The Wily Wars. It's on the Sega Genesis Mini. There's a Sega Genesis cartridge shipping out from Retrobit soon, but still no home console port. Man, Capcom, you're putting money on the table. Mega Man Odds and Ends Legacy Collection win. And on the topic of preservation, we got an update on the Rockman EXE Phantom of Network and Legend of Network preservation project. And there's a whole article talking about it from ProtoDude. on Rockman Corner. So if you want to check that out, there will be a link in the description so you can read up on it for yourself. So in case you don't know, Rockman EXE, Legend of Network, and Phantom of Network are full-on RPG Mega Man Battle Network games that were never released in the West because they only existed on these ancient Japanese cell phones. And unfortunately, these phones are now out of print because this is like early 2000s stuff, and the services hosting these games are now long defunct. So pretty much, if you want to preserve these games, you gotta get a phone that still has those games installed on there. But then the other big problem is actually extracting those games. Now thankfully the preservation team has gotten a hold of a donor phone that has the games installed on there. Now the only issue is how do you get the games off there? And that's what they've been working on for the past year or so. And with that, here's a few words from the people actually behind the project. Team member Craze said, "The Rockman EXE Phantom of Network and Legend of Network preservation team has made significant advances in understanding how to extract the games from the donor feature phone. All the money from January's PayPal pool was used to fund purchases of research equipment and service fees. With our discoveries so far, there are many potential plans of action." He goes on to say, "We found the feature phone schematics, which were used to establish a NAND chip pinout. The next step is to read the NAND chip, analyze the dump for file system structures, and analyze the file system. From there, we will try to ascertain a method to reverse engineer the feature phone's firmware. In doing so, we may be able to reach the game's files and extract them off the device. Other possible methods of extraction, like decrypting game files from an SD card or unlocking more phone features with HyperSIM, are being researched. One of these approaches will ultimately be used on the donor feature phone to retrieve the EXE games. An emulator to play Doja games, the platform the EXE games run on, is also being developed in conjunction with the project." Suffice to say, these people are doing the Lord's work right now. Getting these ancient games off an ancient phone and then converting it into a file that you can actually play with, that's gonna take a ton of work. It is not easy at all, and I definitely commend these guys for even trying to do this. They're definitely doing a great service for the community and preservation as a whole. That all said, they do still need additional funding to further their research, get additional cables and equipment and insurance and all of that. So they do have a new PayPal pool that is up right now where you can donate if you want to. Nobody's making you do it, but if you want to contribute to the cause, you can definitely donate to their PayPal pool. And again, I'll have a link to the article so that you can actually take a look and do that. Right now, their goal is $700 to continue with the research to actually get those games extracted. And they did mention that an emulator is in development, so fingers crossed we might get to actually play these games one day. But it's gonna take time, you know? These things don't happen overnight. All that said, this is one project well worth supporting. So again, one last time, link in the description if you want to help out. And a big thank you and Godspeed to the team behind this. To end things off for today's Mega News, we got a couple manga updates, you know the ones. Rockman-chan episode 10 is now available. In this one, Rockman and Forte duke it out. Hey, it's kinda like the fight that we wish we had in Mega Man 11. This one even features Super Adapter Rockman. And oh god, Curse Super Rush! Oh my goodness, what the heck are you doing, guys? That's hilarious though. And did somebody say Woodman is awesome? Heck yeah, he is! Rockman-san Chapter 9 is also now live. Rockman-san meets up with Woodman-san, and there's even a cameo with Sunstar from Rockman World 5 and King from Rockman and Forte. That's pretty cool, got the deep cuts in there. Unfortunately, all these are in Japanese until fan translations are made, but if you do want to check out the visuals anyways, the links in the description will be there for Rockman-san and Rockman-chan. Guys, that's gonna do it for today's Mega News Roundup. Again, I do apologize that this week's episode was really late, but this has turned out to be a big one, so hopefully the longer content will make up for the long wait. And also with my current situation, you know, hopefully the AC gets fixed at some point or we get it replaced, which is the most likely case. All I ask is, You know, pray that things return to normal sooner rather than later. Could use your positive vibes. And while I am still in this situation, I don't know if I'll be able to do any live streams over here. And as for all the other streams that we usually do, Hero Azure will still keep streaming. But other than that, it's entirely up in the air. I'll see if I can put something together, but no guarantees. I'm just hoping to return to my usual recording setup soon. And as for new stuff, we're not done with news yet, because just today we got some news for Gunvolt Chronicles Luminous Adventure X, character profiles, a new music video and stuff like that. So we'll definitely cover that in its own separate video at some point. I can't guarantee it will come quick given the situation, but I'll definitely try my best. Anyways, with all that said, I want to thank you guys so much for supporting the channel and putting up with these weird circumstances. Thank you so much also to our channel members, including SA class supporter Dustin and GA class supporters Kaibaman41, Zero Scarlet, LML123, Chaos Bonkai, Adrian Cauldron, Vent Crystals, Rose Maverick Saiyan, Rico Syndrome, and Austin Buford. You guys are seriously keeping us afloat and I can't thank you enough. So until the next video, whenever that may be, hopefully I'll still be alive. Nah, I'm just kidding. I'll be fine. I mean, we just had a tropical storm the other day too, but it kind of went by and there was just rain and nothing else. So we're all fine and dandy here, just waiting for the AC situation to get resolved. Until then though guys, rock on and you have yourselves a great day or night. Hopefully where there is AC.